What's up, everybody? This is Base One live broadcasting right here. This is the cell. Some of you have seen it. Some of you have been here. Shamir's online. He's been here. This is the cottage. I always wanted to live in a cottage. And everywhere I went, I traveled to 60 or 70 different cities around the US, teaching when I was teaching yoga in yoga studios just a year and a half ago. What is it now? April? I was in Houston this time last year. Everywhere I looked, I would look to rent an Airbnb that was a cottage in the back. I want that private room experience. It's like its own house. It's like cozy. It's almost like a tent. It's like a really big, luxurious tent. And so here I have it. I have the cottage at the temple. Now, 5 years ago, right about the time I was meeting Mr. Soto, who may or may still not be on Facebook. Steven Soto, why don't you come over to Zoom? Just click the link in the bio, in the description there. And I met him in Los Angeles at a conference called the GSLR. And that was a week or two after I met my current teacher, Rashdi Bazar. For the first time I met him one-on-one, my 29th birthday, 5 years ago. Because I'm 34 now. Or my body is. I had already had the vision because of how he asked me questions of a 5-bedroom, 5-room, big wooden house, yoga retreats, yoga events, yoga teaching. I was all about it. I was already teaching yoga. I think I just gotten certified to teach yoga, but I was already teaching because I'd always been a teacher. I was teaching wrestling and whatever. I didn't even get the whole idea of yoga certification. It was like, if you're good enough, teach. If you're not good enough, they won't listen and they won't follow what you're saying. It's just like really simple, just like teacher you can. The certificate is so people can feel confident in you. But anyway, that's like an aside. Now I live in that 5-bedroom house and I live in the cottage in the back of the 5-bedroom house. It's super dope. Whoa, it all came together. And a bunch happened between then and now. Sometime, I think it was around last January, February, about a year ago, maybe a little more, is when I first contacted Shamir. Shamir's on Zoom right now. And I remember my online impression of Shamir, my Instagram impression of Shamir. Very interesting. And I do believe at the time he was in New York or something. And yeah. So he's on Zoom right now. That's very interesting. And he was one of those guys that he went, girls do this too. I don't mean it like that. Like, it's not girl, like Shamir's not like that, but clients do this too, because you're always selling the girl your life and your lifestyle. That's what it is. She's buying your character. She's buying your creativity, your expression. She's buying your personality. You know that statement of like, I don't buy it. What don't you buy? I don't buy you're telling the truth. Like, she's buying your honesty because it's something unavailable to her, to a world that would easily just take advantage of her and throw her away if they could. And they can, if they can convince her of some things. So she's been lied to all her life. She's just developed a shell. And Shamir goes cold, hot. All of a sudden, it's like, not doing it. No, not now. No. Okay, right now. And then he goes and he comes out for the June Beast Camp. It was the Lions Den boot camp at the time. And that's when this whole beast started, the philosophy of the beast, the ritual of the beast, the mindset and energy of a beast, a survivor, a creature in nature that has to fight every time it wants to eat. It's a beast of prey. It preys on things to survive or it dies. Now, what do we prey on? We prey on opportunities, and those opportunities in the human world is a voluntary exchange. Always. That's how we are. But there's a lot of rubbish that you have to sieve through. You got to get through to people. And so this is the philosophy of the beast, is how to handle all the miscommunications of life, you know? And so we had recently a beast camp because it's evolved. June, July, August is the first time we had the temple here, all 5 of us living here. So that changed, that upped it another level. Now we had a home base to train at. There were, because there's a physicality to the beast practice. It makes sense. It's a beast. And so there's physicality. Now when you don't have to go anywhere for that, and you can be around other people expressing it, that energy. Imagine that physical, like we're about to have a yoga retreat here. 9, 10, 11 of April. So what is that? 3 days from now. You should see the place that I got for these guys. Right now, there's 4 people showing up live. Great. Everything is covered with that. Anybody else decides to show up live, that's great. I get paid for what I'm doing. There are, I forget how many, like 3 or 4 people currently signed up online. There will be more. There'll be a flood of people that comes in online at the end. So it's worth the 14 hours of just like, oh, I'm going to open up. You would know if you come to my 30-minute classes in the morning right now. Just imagine, if you can, you won't be able to, but see, 2-hour practice with me is not like 4 30-minute practices. It's like a 30-minute practice to the 4th power. It's builds on itself because you don't have to come out and then go back in. Come out and go back in. You just go in. And now, of course, it's not always in, but you know, ecosystem is conducive for that. So that was the yoga retreat, the Beast Camp. So yeah, so we have a place. It evolves. Beast Camp, October, November, December. January, there's a change. Something's happening. What's happening? I don't know. The temperatures, it's so cold out. Who knows? There's a different student base that's being cultivated, especially due to social media suppression and everything that has funneled opportunities. And so new creative outlets are found with what kind of content people put out, how we're stirring interest here at the base, getting people here. So some new ideas come about: the mystery method, how to pick up women, the tribal council, how to develop your brand and brand it with values, how to put a language on your brand and really live your brand and be your brand. Be about it. Now circle back around. It was always the beast. We never left the beast, actually. So Beast Phase 2, that was this last month. That's the recap that I was going to, say some sentences or whatever. You should be able to hear a difference in me in my presentation if you follow the podcast. Let's say somebody just follows this podcast and doesn't catch other things that I do. You should be able to hear a difference between me now and me before the Beast Camp, Beast Phase 2. I notice a difference. Let me read something here. Let's show you. I sent an email out to the guys that come to the camp, and I take really good notes. And so I send them the notes, and the notes are really good. Some people like to read, some people don't like to read, but these notes are really good. They're taken out of context. You may not feel the power so much, but let me see if I can unpack some of the power that may be in some of these things, given that these are secondhand anyway. I find myself trapped in a condition brought about by my genetics. I find myself trapped in a condition brought about by my genetics. Okay, your impulses towards the opposite sex. Yes, the opposite sex, not the same sex. Your impulses towards the opposite sex are driven not by your conscious mind, hardly even by your subconscious. It's just like an engine, a bio machine that's moving forward and making decisions on attraction. And it's influenced by perceptions and opinions and, acculturation, basically your values that you've put on top of that. But there are some things that men everywhere, in every culture ever studied, respond to in women. That's genetic. There are things that women everywhere studied respond to about men and their community. It's genetic. Now, within that, there's many different flavors of, how it's expressed. So let's continue. And so those things, we find ourselves at the whims of impulses that we don't have decisions over. You give the devil permission through irresponsibility. What a powerful statement. You give the devil would be doubt, would be internal talk that you're suppressing your own damn self. Nobody outside is even doing it. Now, the voice inside, might belong to somebody else. It was something somebody else said to you, and you decided to, oh, that's a good way to talk to myself. Yeah, right. Or there's some argument going on inside it. Anything that it's invisible to the outside, but you are stopping your movement. You're stopping your decisions. You're slowing your roll because of some invisible voice in your head. Let's just call that the devil. That's what we're naming it. You invite that through your responsibility. Wow. Wow. Because so much of this method, and especially in the method of the beast, and everybody could adopt something from this, really. Men and women, everybody. That when things don't go right, there's one person to point to. There's one person to poison. There's one person to look to change that condition. We don't look outside of us to change our condition. And that's a daily readjustment we must make to our internal will. Because if left to the environment, or if we just wake up and go into our day and then pass out and then wake up and then go into our day, could you imagine a lot of people do that? They just wake up and go right into their responsibilities, and they stimulate themselves all the way until pass out, lack of conscious, just pass out, no will. And then they wake up and go right into their responsibilities. Of course, they're dreading things, and there's no reprieve. They are completely of the world. And they'll hopefully slowly piece away at information that creates space in them, that they see a separation between them and their mind, them and their actions, them and their feelings. And the beast now became hella spiritual. Now we have Nadaye. This is what this next event is, Nadaye. Nadaye is like the open secret. It's like keys to the matrix. The open secret is the truth that's already here. All that is already here. And there's an illusion that there's a self. The self is not an object. I mean, it's heavy like Buddhist spirit, like non-dualism. That's the open secret. And it's an application of all types of yoga that's being transcendental meditation and the surrender experiment, which is by Michael Singer, who's a yogi. White guy yogi, engineer yogi. Right? Combined with some acting tech from Manu. That's Arash's teacher. So the camp this month is all about the numbers and how you hack your destiny and your future by changing up some things and changing some numbers. If you could describe your behavior, everything would break down to zeros and ones. Ultimately, that we compare one thing against another, and to program into a computer a dictionary, the words are coded on zeros and ones. They're coded on a bigger language that actually has more words than just zeros and ones. But all of those words or letters depend on zeros or ones to say what letter or number it is. And the whole universe is zeros and ones. And it's a way to think about it, because we're not going in and getting a chalkboard out and drawing out an equation. Although it's useful to map out your life, to draw up your daily regimen, your business strategy, your necessary activities, your chores, or whatever. Like, you get your mind out of it, you see it, and order starts to happen with it. It's just an exercise. Some people already got it inside. Some people do it outside. I do it outside. And, oh man, I was on a Nadaye kick right there. It's going to be very exciting. Oh, the numbers. When you see it like that, though, it's a way of viewing what's happening, that everything is cause and effect, just like mathematics. 4 plus 5 is 9. There's no superstition to it. But some people would say 4 plus X is 9. What is X? Well, and they go real complicated with it. The moon, carry the 3, and I was born on this day, and I'm feeling such and such, and I haven't eaten blah, blah, blah. And when really it's just, you just subtract 4 from 9 and you get X equals 5, right? It's just the math of the universe. So part of it is seeing it this way. And then also part of it is you got to fill in actually the gaps. Unfortunately, it's not enough just to know that the universe is cause and effect. Because if you don't know the causes to effect, you're still frustrated. but at least you're looking for causes. You're looking for the causes that create the effect you want. And now we can go into the spirituality of, there's a lot of options for how to behave that are outside of my tunneled or narrow way of thinking. My way of thinking has been narrowed by a lifetime of experience that discouraged certain behaviors and encouraged others, and my contextually where I was born, my language, my parents' religion. Like, I am narrowed to certain decisions, and this is my identity. When really there's infinite decisions available if I can just let go of my narrow identity, not permanently, because that would be fake anyway. You couldn't do that really, unless you die or something. But to look beyond it and recognize, when are we limiting ourselves through self-talk and image, and there's a language for how to break it down and go into it. And this is an emphasis of Arash's vibe this month. This is what's going down on the camp this month. So what I would call, like I've said, you maybe have heard me say, tap into infinity. How to go beyond the narrow identity, the finite, to infinite. And from there, now, zeros and ones. What creates the effect that I want? Boom. Now I'm more free to, and then with the guidance of the teacher, if you can make it live, that's great. If you can come to the yoga event live, that's super great too. That's coming up. And there's a discount that joins with that. And I just sent an email about that. That's why I even blurted out, because I just, my mind is on it. So I'm about to teach the apprentices Beast Camp highlights. I'm very excited about this. And let's see, do we have any questions? We got some live audience or comments on this or that. I think you both were in attendance at the Beast Camp Phase 2 Unleash the Beast last month, where Phase 2 was fully decoded and given out to the people. If you recall anything from that, or, you know, anything at all, really. Will Rios, Shamir Khan. Otherwise, let's see here. I think that's about it. I mean, the highlight is the, you know, getting to be close, really. Close and see it. The reference is unavailable outside. It's just not around. And so to come around the vibe and to be around the other guys, we be vibing. And we be echoing that vibe off each other and creating from that vibe. I know Trent, Laura, TL is coming here live. Shamir's coming live this month. You know, these are the guys you want to know and echo off of, right? And then the guys here at the base, Demigod, Sultan, Fernando, and I. And of course, AZD. He's spearheading the movement with his vibe. That through hacking the code, by finding an algorithm, first, an algorithm for confidence, absolute survival, that I'm going to survive no matter what. I'll do what's needed to survive. And unapologetically survive. Then I'm going to discover the science of communication, that really all conditions, that basically the power of language. I would say like Scientology, you know, this, that words are numbers, and you can describe a condition. It makes it more real. You can change your wording and it changes the state of the condition. You can hack somebody's mind and go into it through the words that they use. You know, this is all like L. Ron Hubbard kind of stuff, and it works. Then the algorithm for pickup. So you have confidence, you have language understanding. Now you have, there's an algorithm for how do you use body language, appearance, all of the senses, smell and everything, to influence the opposite sex in a social environment. So that means there's men and women there, old and young, all kinds of contexts. So the social or Venusian arts becomes this thing that's, oh, there's a martial art that has strategy for each and every situation, that there's a way to approach it. There's a teacher student, there's blah, blah, blah. There's so many elements to martial arts mastery that step over to Venusian arts mastery. And there's tons of context, different kinds of women, different cultures, interactions with men and women. It's wild. Wow. So now driving forward, confidence, aggression, creativity, imagination with acting tech, language, how to decode language through Scientology, algorithm of pickup through mystery method. Now we have the recipe for, now we have multiple relationships. When you get so good at getting lots of women, you have lots of women that want to be around, and they'll make a choice for themselves if they will hang around even though other women are hanging around. And how much good he gave back to the populations of women that were following him, training them, improving them, disciplining them, meaning like giving them disciplines, teaching them self-defense, self-esteem, rescuing many of them, and loving many of them in ways that they wanted to be loved. So they hung around. Masses of women over years and years and years. So eventually multiple relationships develops. And now you have this self-churning engine. It's like reached a nuclear fusion where, yeah, it's like the candle burning itself up. But through the process of interacting with girl A, girl B, girl C, you can see through a majority rules that girl A's problem isn't what girl B and C have, even though we're all observing the same thing happening. So where I was bending before to the will of one woman because I wanted to please her, when there were two or three really women, I saw that she was changing me to be more for her, which in nature makes me less for her and her. Not her fault. She's doing what's best for her survival. The reality is I, as a man, must become aware that it shouldn't be that thing that attracts her to me. It's actually something else. It's a survival value. This is the pickup that is signaled by my stability. How can I be stable and not move, but create attraction, keep creating that attraction? And change as I need to change, if I needed to. Now, if two or three women are saying now, my paranoia before where I was like, oh, she's just trying to manipulate and change me. When all three of your women are saying it, you're like, fuck, they have a point. I need to change. They're right. I have an anger issue, or that thing is a button, or this shirt doesn't fit right. Who knows? Like, it's no longer a he said, she said debate. So this happens in his life. And then for many years, I mean, it doesn't just happen. He creates it in his life. And then for many years, he goes through that. Girls come and go, but it's always three or more for a long, long time, or for most of it. It churns out a kind of character that's tested. And these are not chumpy women. These are high-level women. So it's very tested by culture, because culture gives freely to the most beautiful and high-value women. So there's something about being a beautiful woman through life that a lot has approached you. And so you have some sense of, you have wisdom on those things that have approached you. And so there's a level of culture that just comes to beauty. Now, everybody makes decisions, and so they end up in different life situations, but it's something I've observed, and it's a beautiful thing. It's something that's very attractive to me about the lifestyle, that by me manning up and learning the code and the behavior and becoming the character that I desire, which is the man that gets the girl of choice, I then get the benefit of the girl that's been so cultured because her beauty attracted the culture. Now, I know she needs friends, because all of her friends are going to be worthless. I know this because I know guys. And so I know what the guys in her life want from her. And I know what the girls in the life want from her. And some of those girls may be friends, and some of those guys may become allies, but it's a minority every time. She needs friends that she can ally with, because she'll change her values when she gets with me. I know this. This happens to every woman that gets with me, because I've worked out my values, whereas she's just adopted the values that society gave her. So that's, I mean, maybe, or she went into yoga and adopted the values that yoga people give her, but she hasn't worked out her values, and she hasn't seen it work in a pleasing way. I know this. I've met so many, it's just ridiculous. So the lifestyle of so many eyes on you in the public eye, constantly and continuously expressing oneself, especially in the taboo art and science of multiple relationships, with logic behind it. So it just keeps building and growing the logic. Of course, the girls got to get convinced. They got to feel it, and they got to understand it. Because if they just understand it, they don't feel it, they leave. If they just feel it, they don't understand it, they leave, because other people convince them to leave. So they need to understand it, and they got to feel it. So multiple of them over years, you figure out how to stay consistent like that. Now we have a teacher that wakes up at 2 a.m. every day and hasn't missed any day for like 8 months or 10 months or something. That's something. Try it. It's like impossible. It's really challenging. And meanwhile, maintaining multiple beautiful relationships. There's like 6 of them. So there's something about that, never being able to escape the eyes of the woman that is looking to find a reason to get away, really, because it's so much peer pressure from society that you are in this 6 relationship or whatever, that the character has been refined. It's a Michelangelo statue. It's been chiseled. And it only just looks better and better the closer you get. to the lifestyle. And that's now I find myself here at Temple, and you come to Beast Camp or you come to residency and you get close and you stay close as you can. I'm often shushing people like, hey, he's talking, but they're having a great time because they finally meet another IMC brother. But I'm like, dude, bro, you're not here for that. Like, I get that. Do that after he's talking. You're going to miss it. And I know the feeling once you've missed it and you feel it and you needed it and you don't even know you need it sometimes. So come to Beast Camp. Nadaye is the event this month. Send me a message. It's $19.97 live. It's $9.97 online. And of course, there's 15% discount for whatever, 25% discount for live attendees last month. So 50% off for online attendees last month. Very exciting. I have my apprentice group that I'm about to go teach. I know Will Rios just asked, what do the girls need from her? What do the girls need from my girlfriend?
You were saying that there's something like, okay, you know that what guys want from her, right? But then you also know that what other girls want from her. What would say you're talking?
Girls want either and or her admiration or her looks and beauty to attract more attention to themselves. So when she, let's say she starts dressing more conservatively when she gets with me, her friends are going to have a problem with her not wanting to dress, quote, sexy and go out. Those are her hoe friends that want to use her hoe looks to attract attention. Or they were possibly better looking girls or wealthy girls or needy kind of masculine girls that, which means they don't need to be better looking, that relied on her feminine energy to admire them. But I'm much more masculine than them. So of course they'll have a problem with it. Or if they were very beautiful or something, they relied on her admiration. But typically in that situation, the more beautiful girl is going to come around to me also. Or she's going to have a problem with me because she's never met me and she just has a problem with my girl not giving me the attention that was given to her. So those girls need those things. You know, there's a lot to this thing, but I need to go teach apprentices. It's very exciting. Tomorrow's Enlightened Masculinity, everybody. So tune in 5 p.m. tomorrow, Enlightened Masculinity, Pacific time. All right. Os.